After time,
And then, death became part of man's life.
when he banked me, I felt my life getting complete. I felt death right from my toys, that it was the inner being coming out of me. I had my bones, I had every part of me coming out of myself. It is true, I died. It was not collapsing, it was not losing senses, it was not anything, but it was death.
A soul is not some disembodied spirit floating around. In the beginning, God formed man out of dust of the ground and breathed in his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. In the world today, people live and people die. God gives and God takes. But the return of the dead back to life is very uncommon and beyond human knowledge. But according to the Bible, Jesus Christ rises Lazarus from the dead.
Lazarus! Come out!
He came out.
Jesus Christ himself has risen from death and lives forever.
This time round, it is Peter Victor. He died and resurrected. John chapter 10 verse 10. The thief only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may receive life and have it in fullness. And now he resurrects from the dead.
So, as my spirit was near the ceiling, looking at this body, I heard a sound like from far high in the sky. I heard a sound like rushing wind coming. And my spirit could tell that this rushing wind is coming for you. Too heavy, rushing wind coming. Then it got hold of my spirit. When my spirit was being held, it's like I lost the freedom in the spirit. I could not do the things the way I wanted them in the spirit. I said, now, what's this holding my spirit? After holding my spirit, that rushing wind from the sky, from the heaven, held my spirit and bumped my spirit into the body, where it was on that bed, prepared to be taken to the mortuary. And I was bumped into the body. So I felt bitter. I could no longer see my body. I could no longer feel that I'm in the spirit. I could no longer feel the freedom I was feeling after dying. So I said, now, what am I going to do? It's like, again, I wanted to come out of the body. I started sensing deep that now it's like I'm inside again. But there was no life in this body. I could not even twist a finger, but now my spirit was put back in the body. So my life came back. I resurrected from the dead when my spirit came back into this body. But by that time, it was still there. Nobody could tell that now the spirit is inside because the eyes were not open. The blood that had clotted all over the body, it was too thick and it had dried and stuck on the entire body, and the body was naked. So all of a sudden, I heard another power also coming from high above, a rushing wind, and fell in my spirit, in my heart. And I felt power coming in the physical body. So when I felt this power coming in the physical body, it's like my senses were coming back. So as my senses were coming back, I started getting the mind thinking that now I'm back in the body. Again, I'm back in the body. What am I going to do? But still the body was in the position of death. It was dead because I could not change it. I could not twist it. I could not look. I could not see. But inside, my life had come back in this body. So I started thinking. It took time. I believe by that time, it was getting to 5. It was getting to 5 a.m. in the morning. So in this body, I said, what am I going to do? This strength that had come to my heart kept increasing. There's a strength that was increasing beyond the physical strength. The strength was increasing in the body. I felt strength and power coming to my heart. I felt the physical ability coming back to me, that I can use this body either to change the hand or open the eyes or twist the legs. I felt life was coming. By that time, the body was not washed. It was still on that bed where they were preparing to take it to the mortuary. No one had touched that body, but they had seen that they brought in a dead man who was killed after trying to kill a boda. They had the statement. That's a thief. It's a thief. They killed that thief. He was stealing a boda. So the body was there. So when this life continued to live, life came back, strength started coming. I started changing, like twisting parts of my body. When I opened my eyes, it surprised me that I could see now back when I'm raised from the dead. In my body, I could see physical things because I could no longer see myself in the spirit. I had come back to life. So I looked, I saw there was like a tap or a shower. So deep in my spirit, I started like calling for strength, deep, because I had just become born again. It was like 6 months after becoming born again. So I knew Jesus. Deep in my heart, I was calling, Jesus, help me, strengthen me. There was that voice deep. My lips could not open because they had bit the lips, almost all the teeth were about to get out. So when I called for strength, I felt I could shake the hands. all of a sudden I felt more strength in the entire body, beyond even the strength that I had before they had robbed me and killed me. So I said, but I can even change this body. So all of a sudden I rolled the body around. By that time, no nurse, no one saw me when I was turning this body, because they were preparing, dressing gloves to come and wash the body and take it to the mortuary. So when I had this strength, the legs were not bound, but I could not fold, I could not twist or fold from the ankle or the knees. The body was still too stiff for me to shake. But so I rolled off and sat on the bed where they had laid me. It's like I was trying to sit on the bed now. By that time, there is a nurse that came from a point of the entry, because my body was now inside near the mortuary. So the nurse came in and she alarmed, say, started screaming, getting inside. Then the man they brought in, the dead body, I saw the man seated. The man is seated here. So another doctor came in and he also alarmed, and they ran off, they went. They never came to touch me or to ask or to talk to me. I was still naked, the way I was born, just like I was born. Blood was stealing all over my body. By that time it was still thick. So it's like blood had not started saturating within my system, because it was dry and thick, and my body was still pale. It was pale. You know, when you die, you lose this natural look. There is life in the blood. When you see the body, you can see there is blood moving. There's some reddish stuff in the skin, even if you're black. But when you die, it becomes pale. You see that there's no life in this body. So my body was still pale by that time. So I continued in my heart, asking for help from God to strengthen me. So all my teeth were beaten up. They were shaking. All the teeth were shaking. I could not think that I can use my teeth. But all of a sudden I said, but can't I help myself to remove this rope? Because by that time I had no physical pain. The life was there, my spirit was there, the strength was there, but I had no physical pain. I was not feeling any pain, as if the body was paralyzed completely or numb. So I tried to change my hands from one side, yet they were bound. But the strength I had could cause me to manage to twist the hands. I used these very teeth that were shaking to bite the rope. Slowly and slowly, I used the very teeth to remove the ropes. Even as per now, the scars that I had, they were like rings. They just disappeared or recent. I had scars that were like rings here. So I used my teeth to remove this rope. All of a sudden, the ropes loosed me. I tried my strength now to stand from that bed. All I wanted now in my heart is to go near the sink, to loosen that sink, to see that my body is getting wet. Maybe I'll get some more strength, or to be able to shake the joints, and even to take some. It was close to the place where they prepare bodies to take the mortuary. It was not in the hospital where there are other people who have been admitted. So in that room where I was, there was that tap. So when I had that strength coming in me, I stood up, forcing this body to stand, but I was moving just like a dead body. I could not fold the knee joints. I could not fold not even the hands. I was moving like a corpse, or like a Robocop, like that. I moved, fixing, just making my feet to move on the ground, till when I reached where the tap was. So I lose water and it started pouring all over my body. I took time there because I felt now the natural life is coming back. But I was naked, naked the way I was born. Again, there is a nurse that was passing by. So, oh my God. So he saw a man standing naked and the man was standing on the sink. She also screamed and went. So no one came to my rescue to touch the body or to help it. Everyone that saw the body could run but not come back. To inform another one also to come and check, but also to go back. So no one came to ask a question or to offer any help. It was around 5 a.m., if I could recall that time. So when I was there on the sink, so water was pouring all over the body. I could not mind. I was not minding about what man was seeing, whether I was naked as I was born. I was not ashamed. I was not minding about all that. So I took time there. I took time. So there is a doctor that came. I knew it was a doctor according to the way he was dressing. He started talking to me, but I could not talk back. My voice was not coming. I could not speak by my voice. Even blood had clotted even inside. And all the lips were beaten. I could not open them. Blood was still thick in my mouth. So he started talking, but I could not even respond. I could hear with the physical ears, I could hear what he was saying. Actually, what he was saying, that what happened to you, but I could not respond. So the moment I got this strength, deep in my heart, I knew my help is not here. There's a way. I knew my help is not here. It's like my help is in God. I had the mind of God deep in my spirit. So when I was there on the sink, he went and came back with like plaster to dress the mouth, because blood was now coming. Blood started coming up fresh from the body. It started leaking from the lips, from the ears. Blood now, fresh blood started coming again. He came with the first plaster to dress my lips because too much blood was coming out. That's the only thing he did. He put plaster all over my lips. I could not talk. He did not tell me, sit here or come here or I treat you. So I went by myself, not by help of anyone. Just moving still like a dead person. The whole body was still stiff. I could not twist the joints so much like that. So I went close to that place. I could see that these were my clothing. There was a trouser and there was a shirt. So I said now the battle is in putting on the trouser. I wanted now to dress the body, but it was too hard for me since I could not fold the joints. So slowly by slowly I got a trouser. I started fixing it within myself, but it took me minutes to put on that trouser. Then all of a sudden I got also the shirt. And I put it on slowly, trying to force the joints to bend that I may put on those clothing. What I had in me now, that time, it is to move from the hospital. It's the only thing I had deep in me, not that I may be treated or what. I wanted to leave that place.
And now, Peter decides to leave the hospital, however stiff his joints were.
I started moving like a dead man. I could not fold the joints, the knee joints. I was pushing myself on the ground, pushing. The blood was clotting, blood started clotting even on the shirt that I had just put on. It was also dirty and some parts were torn. So I started moving, close to the entry near the mortuary. I never knew the trace whether I could pass here to go back home, but I knew the moment I get here, I find my way home. I never had money because they had taken everything. I never had help. I never knew anyone around there. But deep in my heart, I was believing I will get home. And my mind had come back to me. It was getting refreshed to think like a man. I could now think. I could even remember that, hey, I have a shop in Namasula. I could start imagining and connecting things. So I moved, walking like that. I thought maybe someone would have mercy upon me and put me in their vehicle and take me maybe to town, but no one had mercy upon me. By that time, it was coming to 6 a.m. It was 6 a.m. early in the morning. The doctors never asked anything. That doctor, what he did, I remember that doctor brought sandals. He brought a pair of sandals and gave me. But he was shaking, was shivering. He could not understand because they had checked the body. They knew the body was dead. And now they see the corpse is moving. So when he gave me sandals, I forced my feet to enter the sandals. I put on those sandals. I started moving on a slow pace. So I walked from that place to the main road. But on the speed that I was walking, I could not cross the road. There were many vehicles going this side, one leg where those who were singing, one leg what. The vehicles were passing. So I could not cross. So people were listening to me. I want you to listen to this very carefully because it even astonished me for almost 3 years after I was raised from the dead. It was a question in my life until when I met again the servant of God, Brother Ronnie. I never knew what happened now.
Now he finds himself standing at the clock tower.
So when I was coming close to this point, near the road, it's like I disappeared now. I was not in my body, I was not in the spirit, I was not anywhere. It's like, I cannot say death because I had tasted death, that when you die, your spirit goes somewhere and your spirit can understand or see. But this time I disappear, it's like from life and from death. But only like the blinking of an eye like this. To open my eyes, I saw that I was at the clock tower near Entebbe Road. I did not see anyone coming to help me by hand to cross the road. I did not see anyone putting me in their vehicle to drive me to the clock tower. I cannot say that I collapsed when I reached there, because by the time I reached clock tower, I was standing as a human, and I was having my senses and understanding, just like I was when I was leaving the mortuary room. Oh, God is so gracious. God is so gracious, and He has a mighty power. So I saw myself at a clock tower. From the exit from that very point as you reach the main road from Lago. Opening my eyes again, I was at the clock tower near the border stage that leads to Entebbe Road. But at that time I never minded so much that what has happened to me to be here. How have I traveled up to here? I did not mind about that. But after time when I recovered completely, even my body, that's when it became a question in my life. Asking myself, how did I move from Lago to the clock tower? What happened? Me as a man, with my understanding as a human, I could not trace that. So it remained as a mystery in my life. I could not understand it. So by the time I reached the clock tower, there is a softness that had begun to come in my body. I found myself that I could twist the knee joints, I could twist them. I could at least try to walk as a normal human being. But still the body was swollen and it was still pale. The face was still swollen. Me, I could not tell, but the people could look at me, could even run away. They could not look at me again. And remember, on my lips I had a bandage. My lips were not seen. And some parts were licking the body. The ears were fresh because after banging me with a metal, a piece of my ear dropped off.
By the grace of God, Peter bought a motorcycle to travel back home.
So I knew I was looking so funny, so disgusting. No one could like to come close to me. But now that my mind was back, when I went to the border guy, by sign, I told him to give me a pen. I shook my hand and he gave me a pen with a paper. I wrote for him, take me to Namasuba stage. I will direct you to the shop. When you reach there, I'm going to give you money. That's what I wrote. So I don't know how God convinced this border guy to trust that statement. But after writing it, I gave it to the border guy. Still, only by the mercy of God, I never knew I would board a border again because my incident to be killed came from a border. But still, even coming back to life, the first thing I sat on was a border because there was no way I could access a taxi. So, and even a taxi cannot take you to the final destination that you can pay from there. So I sat on the border. This man rode me, it was now coming, the day was getting lighter. It was six per some minutes. So we went. I was directing him by the hand as he was driving. We passed via Najanankumbi, we entered just somewhere inside, up to the shop, because I had a shop in Namasuba. So in that shop, there was a brother of mine. That brother is called Tony. He was selling that shop. So the moment he looked at me, he just screamed and said, ah! So I don't know how I was looking, whether I was terrifying, I don't know. I never knew that. But whoever would look at me would just cry. And the announcements that they had sent to radio that they have killed somebody called Peter Victor Seduviri, stealing a border, and they have taken the body to Mulago Hospital. The announcements went, this man that had sat on the ear took the announcements to the radio. So the announcements went over that I was killed trying to steal a boda, and the body is in Mulago mortuary. So those who are relatives or concerned about me should come and pick the body. So by that time, early in the morning, they had had the announcements that I was dead. That now the person they had announced to be dead is now coming in the physical. Me now, I never knew because I never listened to the radio. But they told me this after I had recovered completely. So in that shop, there was my brother. He had a spare key for the shop. So he could open all I could open, because at times for me I could go to the church and serve here and there and then go. So at times he was the main person who was there in the shop. But it was up to me to close after balancing everything late in the evening. So I'd left the previous night. So when I found my brother, I could not talk to him because still I had a bandage on my lips, and blood was clotting from the lips all over the shirt, and I was looking in a funny way. So I also wrote a cheat to him. I told him, give this boda man 5,000. So he got 5,000 and gave the boda man. The man drove off. So I entered the shop. All of a sudden I saw people gathering around the shop. I don't know how I was looking, how funny I was. I didn't know because I never looked at myself in the mirror. But people were gathering, say, hey, he's here. Hey, Uncle Peter is here. But I said, no, I cannot become a thing that people will come and gather to watch. I need to go back now to my home in Ndeje. I need to leave this shop. So I wrote a cheat to this brother of mine that I want to go to Namasuba stage, down. Then from there, I want to go home. So when I wrote for him, he could not touch me. He was just terrified. He just started calling my sister, my brother, everyone, every relative that is here is here. They had had the announcement that I was dead. But I never wanted them to always gather around me because I had become a mockery thing. People were gathering around me. So because I had some strength in the body, I started walking slowly, holding money in my hands and a pen and a paper. So I started moving slowly up to the stage of Namasua. Still, even there, I used the boda in the sandals and the shirt and the trouser. So I bought it and went to my home place.
On reaching home, now he starts to devise means in order to unlock and enter the house.
When I got there, I realized that the home was locked because I was staying with my brother, and my brother by that time was at the shop and I had no key. So I wanted to enter inside. So when I reached there, the boda guy left. I tried to get means to enter in the house, but there was no way. The entire house was locked, I had no key. I said, now, how am I going to enter? I want to be inside. I cannot sit on the veranda, on the house that I built. What am I going to do? So I looked at the glass. I said, can't I break the glass and enter inside? I said, no, I cannot be here. Because I had the strength I had, and the boldness, there's a boldness I had that I can do this, I can do this. So I just stretched my hand and I banged the glass of the window. And I used, because we had looked from inside, so when I banged the window, I could stretch my hand and open from the inside. So I broke the glass. I entered the house after breaking the window. So when I entered, still, I locked myself inside. And I came near the sitting room. So by that time, my brother had gathered my sister, relatives, friends, and all the village mates, those who knew me. They had gathered around the home, but they could not find a way to enter where I was. They knew that I was inside because my brother informed them. They knew. He said, now he went, he's inside. When they called me even the first time, I responded. But I never wanted anyone to come close to me. I wanted to like be alone for a time. They wanted to come in, but I never granted them access to come. They could not trace the way I entered. Because after breaking the window, everything was cleared there, and then I put a curtain. They could not tell. So they were like, how did he enter inside? And I locked myself. So by that time, my strength was now like decreasing. The strength was decreasing and the physical pain was increasing because I was getting now more into the flesh. The paralysis and the numbness was getting away from the flesh. So I was gaining now pain, feeling the wounds, the ankles that were beaten by the metals, by the stones, the headache. Every part of me was pain and it was swollen. because it took me almost 2 months when the body was still swollen, the head was swollen everywhere. I was swollen. So I spent the day in the house, the full day in the house, because I was not thinking about eating or drinking. I was not minding about all that. I was not thinking about eating or drinking. So in the evening of that day, there is a sister of mine, and she's a nurse. She's called Sise Navachwa. So she came around, and she said, no, for me, you're going to open for me, because there's nothing I'm going to do. I want to treat you. Because I was feeling now pain. Pain had come in the flesh. I was feeling complete pain now. It's like I wanted also treatment. The other time I could not mind about treatment, because I knew I'm able, I can do anything by myself. So I just even rolled on the ground, because I lost strength in the joints. All these ankles were beaten, the knees were beaten, and all the entire body, it was pain. So I just rolled from the sitting room to the behind door to touch that locker to open out. So I opened. It was her. So when she came in, she got an injection and injected me. I don't know what injection was that, but I slept.
Now the relatives and friends of Peter decide to take him to Entebbe Hospital.
So after sleeping, they got me and put me in a vehicle to take me to the hospital. So they never took me to Mulago, but they took me to Entebbe Hospital. So now pain was there just like a normal human being. I was feeling pain everywhere. It took me 3 days without standing or walking. I was doing everything there, because all the entire body was filled with pain.
The servant of God, Brother Ronnie, sends ushers to the hospital who pray for him. And after prayer, he recovers very fast.
So the man of God sent an usher, prayed for me. He went back, took the news to the man of God where I was in the hospital. So I recovered faster than anyone could imagine, because it's like the body was dead, but I find myself recovering faster, very, very fast. So I spent in the hospital. It was 3 weeks. I was discharged from the hospital. I came back home. So when I recovered and went back home, my sister was caring for me, because I'm not married. There was no wife or what or one to care for me. So she was there to cook and help me do some domestic work. So she called a boda man to bring matoke home. So the man that she called came and found me outside. I was seated on the veranda. The moment the man saw me, he threw down the bunch of matoke, and I was like, why are you shocked? What is it? And he started speaking everything that happened by the time they killed me. This man even called my sister, and he told my sister, they killed this man. They happened to beat him, they removed all his clothing, they took his money. I even know everyone that did everything. I can even report them to you. So for him, he thought that maybe we are going to follow up the case and look for the people who killed me to imprison them, including him. So he was trying to rescue himself by speaking everything that happened. So because my sisters and all relatives were not there, it was hard for them to believe that I was dead, now I'm back to life. So when my sister heard the story, she was surprised. She said, what's this? And I said, I died, but God raised me from the dead, now I'm back to life. But it was a mystery to her. She could not understand it. So the Boda man explained everything. So the Boda man could not even touch me. He was too terrified, because he saw the dead body. They watched the body for hours. It was dead. They put the body on the 99. So he had no doubt that this is a dead man. And person that they have killed with stoning to death, there's no way you can say that person has collapsed or they have lost their consciousness. No. You will know that this is a dead body. It's gone and forgotten. So the man was too amazed. Even the next day he came and he said, I have even the phone number of some people, those who were there. Please, it's not me. He was trying to plead his case. So I told the man, it's not mine to fight. It is God who will handle this. I'm not looking for anyone to imprison. Because by the time they found me to kill me, I was having a driving permit in my wallet. I was having bank, the ATM cards, 2 of them, and I had around 700,000 still in the wallet. So he thought maybe I would try to chase this case to see that they arrest those people who took those things, even those who took the shoes. But I told him no, I'm not up to that. Now, this man that did it, that killed me, I know that man. Even up to date, I know his face. But I never went back to this man to tell him that he'll kill me, because he will not understand that, and he will think maybe I want to arrest him. I can take away his peace by telling him that. But I see his face, I know his face. He's now getting even so old, I know him. But when I met man of God, because it was a question in my heart. So when I met the man of God, Brother Ronnie, after I'd covered and all that thing had happened, I was completely as a human back to my life. So when I met the servant of God, Brother Ronnie, I asked him, that man of God, when I raised from the dead, when I came back to life, and my body, I walked to near Mlago Road to cross. And all of a sudden I saw myself at the clock tower. I don't know what happened, but I always try to think about that. When I think about it, I leave it. I try to imagine it, but I leave it. But I don't know what happened when I reached that point of crossing the road, and then all of a sudden seeing myself to the clock tower. So the man of God, Brother, told me, he told me, when you reach there at the road to cross, that's when you are going to die the second time. You are going to be knocked by the vehicle, and that death was to be permanent. Now you will never come back to life. But what God did for you, at that very point, He sent angels. Angels carried you from that point of crossing Mulago Road up to Clock Tower. So your mind, your understanding cannot perceive that, you cannot know that. And then that's when he told me that even he had seen the incident that happened to me in the vision, because I had just become born again, but he knew me as I was a congregator at ETM International. He told me he had seen the incident in the vision, that something terrible was going to happen to me and I was going to be killed. So by this entire night, all these things that happened to me, the man of God was praying for me without my conscience, without me knowing, because he told me after I'd recovered completely and I was back in the church, I was there serving God. So he told me, I saw everything and even what they did to you. So I was praying for you. At that point, when you were crossing that road from Lago to cross the other side, you were going to be knocked by a vehicle and you could die, never to come back. But God sent you angels, and angels carried you from there up to Clock Tower.
Up to date, Peter still stands amazed of God's power of revelation.
So it amazed me. It amazed me. That was a power of God. It was, and from that time I believed with all my heart the anointing of God upon Brother Ronnie, because I could not imagine. I never knew what they call vision or seeing things. I never knew he could see things about me, what will happen to me, even when I myself don't know what will happen to me. I never knew somebody was praying for me to come back to life. I never knew that. All I knew, even when I was dead, I only could see my spirit and see my body. I cannot tell you that when I was dead, I saw Brother Ronnie praying for me, no. Because I was minded to see my body. Where are they taking my body? Are they going to burn it? If they don't burn it, I want to see it buried and then I go. But I thank God for the anointing of God upon Brother Ronnie, and I thank God for his servant, Brother Ronnie McBuy. Because if not be Brother Ronnie, I would be dead, completely gone and forgotten. So I thank God that he prayed for me and I was raised back to life. When I recovered and gained the strength back now, I started going to church. I met the servant of God, Brother Ronnie, again. I was telling him how I lost things, the ATM cards and the things they took from me. And he told me, don't worry about anything. And don't go to the police or go to the LOC and try to look for anything or to arrest anyone. He told me, leave everything to God. What you need is to just commit yourself to God. You live, God will handle everything. So one thing I cannot escape to tell, because I know it's not by might, it's not by power of man, but it's by the grace of God. What amazed me, after coming from the hospital in Entebbe B, where I was, it was after 3 days, because I spent almost 3 weeks in the hospital. After 2 days when I'd come back, the very man, this man that claimed that I had given him 1,000, yet I'd given him 10,000, that caused the incident of killing me. That very man that called the mob to come and kill me up to death, the one who inspired that this thief is stealing the boda, was caught on the stage, Bata stage in Namasuba. He was caught and accused of that very case of stealing a boda. So how did I come to know this? It is this boda man who brought Matoke home, who came and confessed everything. Because maybe he thought I'm trying to use any power to chase or to harm those who killed me. So this man was caught. So he was dressed with tires, motor vehicle tires, from the toy 1, 2, 3 up to his head. They burnt him to ashes. It's not that I prayed any evil prayer, no. And it's not that I followed up this man, no. But I wonder how God does his things and how he avenges when you leave him to handle your cases. So this man was caught. They dressed him with motor vehicle tires, just like you can put a stick in the middle of your hands. They dressed him and piled him. They poured petrol. They burnt him to ashes. The remaining, they just had to sweep away the ashes. Not even a bone. They did it. So when this man heard it, this boda man who used to help my sister, he came trembling and said, please forgive me, asking for forgiveness of me who never did anything. And I told him, for me, I'm innocent, I don't know anything. So he told me the story, even the name of that very boda guy was killed. So I give glory and honor back to God, and I thank him for raising me from the dead. So it is so amazing how God can fight battles. And one thing I've come to learn in life, that is very, very important to take the counsel or the guidance of the man of God. When he calls you, or when he's preaching or teaching, and he tells you that do this, make sure you follow it. Because when you do the contrary, then you can get negative results. So when he told me that, no, leave them, God will handle this case. Don't go to the police, don't go to the OLCs, don't try to look for anyone. I just, like I can say, foolishly obeyed. I said, oh, he's a man of God, I'll take it. So I took that. Not even to pray an evil prayer, not even to try to chase for anyone. But it's so amazing how God can avenge, how God can come out to fight for those who have put their trust in him. So it's very, very important. When man of God gives you a guidance, or when he teaches, the instruction that he gives you will carry out the work of God, and you see the hand of God, how he will fight for you, how he will overcome and receive his greatness in your life. When he told me to obey and to do that, I saw God fighting for me. I saw God fighting my battles. I saw God overcoming for me. So I saw the hand of God fighting on my side and overcoming for me after I'd taken the counsel of the man of God. After I'd obeyed what the man of God told me, that's when I saw what God can do. It is so amazing. One thing that I want us to learn, and we need to know this, that the man of God, Brother Ronnie Makubai, is an anointed, highly anointed man of God. There's no doubt in this, because if you can doubt Brother Ronnie, then you can doubt Jesus. I never told him about anything that happened, but he had seen everything in the vision. He prayed for me without my conscience, without me begging that man of God pray for me. He saw what will happen to me and he prayed for me. He told me that God will fight for you, leave this. And I saw God fighting and overcoming for me. So there is no doubt. From that very time, God has been with Brother Ronnie up to date. He has been fighting battles, he has been guiding us, he has been counseling us. There is no doubt 100% he's a true anointed servant of the Most High God. And if we take his counsel, if we take his guidance, we shall never be the same and we shall get there. From the time man of God, Brother Ronnie, prayed for me, I can move freely. My hands, my legs can operate, my body is very alive. When I was beaten up to death, I got a fracture somewhere. It was like movement on my knee, and my knee came to a different size. It was supposed to be in the middle here, but it's now slanting. My legs cannot stand straight the way they were, but now I can still move. This is a joint that I got. It was supposed to be in the middle, but it's now at its side. I thank Jesus for making me back, for healing me completely and making me alive. I can still move. I no longer have any fracture. I can run back and forth. I can run freely after the healing and deliverance and the restoration back to life. Lord Jesus Christ be glorified. In Jesus' name. Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the Lord of Lords. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King. Give me joy in my heart, keep me serving. Give me joy in my heart, I pray. Give me joy in my heart,